Have you ever looked at someone who just, effortlessly rallies a team or inspires this incredible loyalty or maybe guides an organization through really turbulent times, and you just wonder, what is their secret? Is it something innate they were born with or something they meticulously learned over time?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And today, we're really going deep into that fascinating, pretty multifaceted world of leadership.
Right.
Our mission today, essentially, is to cut through some of the noise. We want to reveal the core principles, look at the diverse styles, and unpack the evolving theories that truly define what makes leadership effective.
Okay.
And we've pulled together a really comprehensive stack of sources for this, everything from foundational definitions right up to the very contemporary challenges leaders face today. So hopefully you get a really holistic understanding.
And this isn't just, theory for a dusty textbook.
Not at all.
This deep dive, think of it as your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about leadership. We've got surprising facts, practical nuggets you can actually apply. So whether you're looking to lead a team yourself, influence a project, or maybe just understand the dynamics shaping your own daily life, I think the insights we're about to unpack will give you a really fresh perspective. So let's get started.
Okay, let's begin right at the very beginning. We throw the word leadership around constantly, but what exactly are we talking about? What's the fundamental definition here?
Yeah, it's a good place to start. At its absolute heart, leadership is the ability to influence, to motivate, and crucially, to guide individuals or groups towards achieving a common goal.
Influence, motivate, guide. Okay.
Right. And it's far more than just having authority or, a fancy title on your door. It's really about inspiring a sense of direction and fostering actual progress.
So it's not just telling people what to do.
Not at all. A truly effective leader doesn't just dictate tasks. They articulate a clear vision, something compelling. They communicate it so effectively that it actually resonates deeply with people.
Yeah.
They build trust within their team, and they drive genuine collective progress.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Because without that vision...
Where are you going? Exactly.
Yeah.
And without clear communication, how will anyone know how to follow? And maybe most importantly, without trust, why would they follow you with any real enthusiasm?
Right, you need that buy-in.
You absolutely need that buy-in.
And it's interesting looking through our sources how different scholars have kind of framed this core idea. I noticed Keith Davis talks about influence plus enthusiasm, while Kuntz and O'Donnell, they emphasize willing cooperation, and Keyes and Thomas boil it down to influence plus support plus goals. It feels like the common thread is that positive guidance and that shared drive.
Precisely. Those key words really highlight that true leadership isn't just about making people do something. It's about inspiring them to want to do it.
Okay. The want to.
Exactly. To embrace the goal with enthusiasm and to feel genuinely supported along the way. Right. It's about channeling that collective energy towards a shared objective rather than just, forcing compliance. And when we talk about inspiring enthusiasm and guiding towards a shared objective, well, one figure immediately springs to mind from our sources. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Oh, yes. A powerful example.
A former president of India, also a renowned scientist. He wasn't just a figurehead, was he? He really ignited the imaginations of millions, especially young people, with his vision of a developed India 2020.
He absolutely did. He led by example, didn't he? Embodying those principles of knowledge, innovation, service. It's a fantastic illustration of how leadership can transform not just organizations, but entire societal mindsets.
Definitely. His leadership felt like it went beyond just power or position.
It did. It was rooted in this unwavering commitment to a cause, and crucially, that rare ability to articulate that cause in a way that just resonated so deeply across society.
Yeah.
And this naturally brings us to another crucial question. What specific qualities, what characteristics consistently show up in leaders who make such a profound difference? What are the essential traits?
Right. What's the common DNA, so to speak?
Exactly. When we look at really effective leaders, certain traits just consistently stand out. The first one, and maybe the most fundamental, is influence.
Right.
This is the leader's primary tool. It's that inherent capacity to affect the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions of others. Without influence, you're just issuing commands. With it, you're actually guiding hearts and minds.
Big difference.
Huge difference. Then there's vision. Leaders need a clear, compelling picture of the future. They don't just see what is, they see what could be. And they can articulate that future in a way that inspires others to want to journey towards it.
Makes sense.
And this ties directly into motivation. Great leaders don't just delegate tasks, they energize their teams. They tap into both, intrinsic drives, the internal desire to do well, and extrinsic ones, like rewards, to inspire peak performance and real commitment.
Okay.
Crucially, they possess exceptional communication skills. Now, this isn't just about speaking clearly. It's about being proficient in both expressing ideas persuasively and, maybe even more importantly, actively listening, really hearing people.
That two-way street again.
Absolutely. It's a dynamic exchange that builds understanding and, crucially, trust, which leads to integrity. This is non-negotiable. Leaders must embody honesty, strong ethics, trustworthiness to earn that genuine respect and loyalty.
Foundational.
Completely. Coupled with this is decisive decision-making ability. In a world of constant change, unexpected challenges, effective leadership demands the capacity for quick, sound judgments, especially in high-pressure situations or crises.
You can't afford to freeze up.
No, you can't. Empathy is also vital for building those deep, authentic connections. Understanding and relating to others' feelings fosters loyalty, creates a supportive environment, and allows leaders to respond to human needs, not just task requirements. It makes teams feel genuinely valued.
Yeah, that human element.
Exactly. And speaking of change, adaptability is key. Good leaders adjust seamlessly to evolving situations, whether it's economic shifts, tech disruptions, new policies. They don't just rigidly cling to outdated methods, they pivot.
Very important today.
Critically important. Finally, there's accountability. True leaders take full responsibility. For successes, yes, but also for failures. They foster a culture where people own their actions. And underpinning all of these qualities is confidence. Leaders tend to exude self-assurance, which is incredibly infectious. It encourages others to trust their judgment and follow their lead, especially when things feel uncertain.
So it's quite a list. When you see these qualities together, influence, vision, integrity, adaptability, that confidence you're seeing, genuine leadership in action. It's not just about holding a title.
Not at all.
And speaking of titles, that brings us to a really interesting distinction. Not all leaders wear a formal badge, right? It often surprises people how different kinds of leadership can coexist.
Indeed. And it's a critical distinction for understanding how influence really operates within any group or organization. Let's talk about the formal leader first.
Okay.
This is someone officially appointed or elected to a leadership position. They possess legitimate authority granted by the organizational hierarchy, and their duties are usually clearly defined.
Like a bank branch manager. That's the example in the sources.
Perfect example. They're formally appointed. They have the authority to supervise employees, assign specific roles, evaluate performance, and they're directly responsible for hitting the branch's financial goals. Their power comes directly from their designated position and the established rules they operate within.
Right. Very clear lines of authority.
Very clear. Now, in stark contrast, you have the informal leader. This person emerges organically within a group. They hold no official title, no designated authority. Yet they gain immense respect and are followed by their peers, often because of their experience, maybe unique expertise, or sometimes just innate charisma.
So this is the person everyone naturally turns to.
Exactly. Picture, say, a senior developer on a software team. They might not be the team lead on the org chart, but they've been there for years, they've seen every kind of bug, they know all the best practices.
And the junior developers always ask them for help.
Precisely. They consistently turn to them for advice on complex coding problems. This individual, despite lacking a formal managerial title, becomes incredibly influential. They often bridge communication gaps, resolve subtle conflicts, boost team morale. They play a crucial, often unseen, role in team cohesion.
And their power comes from
influence and trust, earned respect, not from any formal decree.
It's really fascinating how these different types can coexist and often complement each other within an organization. You might have the formal leader setting the big strategy, while the informal leader is kind of making sure the day-to-day runs smoothly and the team actually feels supported.
Exactly. That interplay really highlights that leadership isn't just a top-down thing, which leads naturally to another common point of confusion. How does this relate to management? Are leaders always managers? Are managers always leaders? People often mix these up.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. What's the difference?
It's a great question, and the sources clarify this really well. While they're often conflated, leadership and management are actually distinct concepts.
I remember seeing a pithy summary that really stuck with me. Leadership is about doing the right things. Management is about doing things right.
That sums it up beautifully, doesn't it?
It sounds subtle, but it implies quite a profound difference in focus.
It absolutely does. Let's break down those core distinctions. Leadership is fundamentally about influencing and inspiring others towards a vision. Its primary focus. Innovation, driving change, motivating individuals to commit to some larger purpose.
So more about the why and where.
Exactly. It's often transformational in its approach. It aims to shift mindsets, maybe even organizational culture. The leader's power typically springs from personal influence, charisma, the ability to articulate that compelling future. Leaders tend to be predominantly people-oriented, willing to embrace risks, and they operate with an inspirational strategic style.
What's the ultimate goal then?
The ultimate goal is to develop a long-term vision and foster significant change. They create loyal followers who deeply believe in that vision. Think of, say, a CEO who inspires a whole company-wide shift towards pioneering sustainable energy solutions. That's leadership.
Okay, got it. So how does management differ?
Management, on the other hand, is more about the disciplined process of planning, organizing, coordinating resources, and controlling operations. Its focus is on established processes, efficient systems, and achieving concrete, often short-term results.
More about the how and when.
Precisely. The approach is primarily transactional. It maintains the status quo, ensures efficient operation within existing frameworks, delivers predictable outcomes. A manager's power comes from formal authority, their position within the hierarchy. They are typically task-oriented, often risk-averse, meticulously following established procedures.
Less about rocking the boat.
Generally, yes. Their style is administrative, operational. They aim to achieve predefined objectives efficiently. They direct subordinates through clear rules and roles. A good example here would be the branch manager in a bank again. Ensuring daily transactions run smoothly, tellers process payments correctly, the branch meets its daily targets and compliance requirements. That's management.
It seems really clear, then, that an organization actually needs both to truly thrive.
Absolutely crucial.
You need the visionary leader setting the destination, but you also need effective managers, making sure the journey is efficient, well-organized, and stays on track.
One without the other leads to problems. Either a grand vision with no practical execution,
Chaos.
or perfect execution of something that ultimately doesn't serve a larger purpose. It really is a powerful complementary partnership when it works well.
Okay, now that we have a solid grasp on what leadership is and how it differs from management, let's delve into the fundamental styles leaders tend to adopt in various situations. The first one we should discuss is autocratic leadership, sometimes called the authoritarian style. Autocratic. Sounds strict.
It is. Its characteristics are quite distinct. The leader makes nearly all decisions unilaterally, with very little, sometimes no input from team members. They maintain strict control, expect followers to comply without question. Communication is typically one way, flowing straight from the top down.
I can immediately imagine scenarios where this isn't just useful, but maybe absolutely critical.
Like what?
Well, a military commander giving orders during a rapidly unfolding crisis, right? That's the classic example. Or maybe a startup founder in those really early, chaotic, fast-paced stages where swift, decisive action is paramount and there's just no time for endless consultation.
Exactly. When speed is truly of the essence, this style can be incredibly effective. The sources actually gave a compelling real-life example. Henry Paulson.
Ah, the U.S. Treasury Secretary during the 2008 financial crisis.
That's the one. He adopted an almost purely autocratic approach to push that massive $700 billion TARP bailout plan through Congress, and then he essentially directed major banks to accept capital injections. There was very little room for negotiation. It was unilateral, decisive, driven by the urgency of preventing a total economic collapse.
High stakes.
Extremely high stakes. So this style is most effective in genuine crisis situations when quick, non-negotiable decisions are paramount, or maybe when leading highly inexperienced teams who need very clear, direct instructions.
But there must be downsides.
Oh, significant downsides. In the long term, it can really stifle creativity. People don't feel empowered. It can lead to low morale and often contributes to high turnover rates because, frankly, people crave some autonomy and want their voice heard.
Makes sense. Which is a stark contrast, I imagine, to our next style. Democratic leadership, also known as participative leadership.
Precisely. Democratic leadership represents a significant philosophical shift. Here, the leader actively involves team members in the decision-making process. They encourage open discussion, they genuinely seek input, and they value the opinions of others.
So they ask the team what they think?
Yes, though the final decision-making authority usually still rests with the leader. But the process itself is highly collaborative. It fosters a sense of shared ownership and commitment.
So instead of just issuing directives, a leader using this style might be let's see, maybe a senior manager at the Reserve Bank of India. When they're formulating new guidelines for financial inclusion, they might hold brainstorming sessions, invite diverse perspectives, really consider all suggestions before finalizing the policy.
That's a perfect example of a democratic approach in action. And a powerful real-life illustration from the sources is Dr. Verghese Kurian.
The architect of India's White Revolution.
Exactly. He truly practiced democratic leadership. He worked incredibly closely with farmers, with milk unions, with government bodies to create Amul as a cooperative model. His approach was deeply inclusive, actively involving all stakeholders. That was absolutely vital to the massive grassroots success of the whole cooperative movement.
Wow. So the benefits are?
Well, it fosters creativity, significantly boosts team morale, builds stronger commitment to decisions because people feel heard, and it's particularly well-suited for experienced, self-motivated teams.
But it's not perfect either.
No style is. It can be very time-consuming. All that discussion takes time. So it's less effective in urgent crisis situations where you need speed. And it can struggle with highly indecisive teams where reaching consensus feels like pulling teeth.
Okay, which brings us to a style that sounds even more hands-off.
Yeah.
Laissez-faire leadership, or delegative leadership.
Right. Laissez-faire leadership takes that concept of autonomy to its extreme. The leader provides minimal guidance. They essentially allow team members to make most decisions themselves.
Really hands-off.
Very. They offer a very high degree of autonomy, fundamentally trusting the team to manage their own work, their own processes. The leader remains available for support, maybe resources, or to remove obstacles, but they don't actively intervene unless it's absolutely necessary.
That sounds like, well, an ideal scenario for some teams, but maybe a recipe for total chaos for others.
Precisely.
I'm thinking of, maybe, the head of a cutting-edge research department at a big tech company, allowing a team of highly experienced scientists or engineers total freedom to design and run their own projects, stepping in only for high-level strategy or funding.
That's a great example. Or even the early days of Google, the sources mention Larry Page and Sergey Brin fostering a culture that allowed product teams immense freedom to innovate. That's classic laissez-faire in action.
So when does it work best?
It's highly effective with highly skilled, self-motivated, experienced teams who genuinely thrive on independence and innovation. It can foster immense individual growth, creativity, and a really strong sense of ownership.
But the risks?
Substantial. It can lead to a severe lack of direction if the goals aren't crystal clear. Poor coordination between team members. Missed deadlines if the team lacks self-discipline or the necessary expertise. It's essentially a high-trust, high-risk approach that relies heavily on the maturity and capability of the team.
That really highlights something crucial then. It sounds like there's no single best leadership style.
Absolutely not.
It seems like knowing when to use which style is the real power move, the real skill.
Exactly. This is where the concept of adaptability becomes absolutely paramount. Our sources really emphasize that the optimal leadership style isn't some fixed choice you make once. It's a dynamic response to two primary factors: the surrounding environment and the skill level of the subordinates you're leading.
Environment and skill level. Okay.
It's about being a bit of a chameleon, really, adapting your approach to maximize effectiveness in that specific situation.
Can you break that down a bit? How do those interact?
Sure. Let's think about it like a matrix. In a true crisis environment, high pressure, high stakes, fast-moving social, you'll almost always see autocratic leadership come to the fore.
Makes sense. Need for speed.
Exactly. The urgency dictates swift, decisive action, often regardless of the team's skill level. Even with highly capable people, the need for immediate centralized control usually takes precedence.
Okay. What about growth or change?
Right. When you're operating in a high-growth or rapidly changing environment, the picture shifts. If you have inexperienced subordinates, you might still need a more autocratic hand initially, just to guide them through the volatility and uncertainty.
Provide structure.
Precisely. But as your team members become capable or even expert, participative leadership becomes the dominant and most effective style. You want to leverage their insights, foster innovation, get their buy-in to navigate that rapid evolution successfully.
And in stable times.
Finally, in a relatively stable environment. With inexperienced subordinates, a participative approach can be very effective. It helps build their skills and confidence over time. As they become capable, participative generally remains strong, fostering ongoing engagement. And crucially, with expert subordinates in a stable environment, that delegative, laissez-faire style truly shines. You can give them maximum autonomy to excel and innovate within that stability.
So the big takeaway for you listening is, It's not about finding one signature leadership style and sticking to it rigidly.
Definitely not.
It's about developing the wisdom, the flexibility to know when and how to apply the right one for the situation and the people involved. That really feels like a powerful insight. Effective leadership isn't static. It's this dynamic, responsive art.
Okay, now here's where we move beyond just, let's say, styles of interaction to perhaps deeper philosophies that fundamentally shape how leaders view their role.
Are leaders simply managing transactions, day-to-day exchanges, or are they truly aiming to transform people and organizations? This brings us to a really core distinction: transactional versus transformational leadership.
This is a fundamental divide in modern leadership thinking, and it really helps explain vastly different organizational cultures you might see. Let's start with transactional leadership.
Okay.
This style is essentially a give-and-take system. It's built on clear structures where leaders offer rewards for desired performance, like bonuses or promotions, and apply punishments or corrections for failures or mistakes.
Like a contract.
Exactly like a contract. Its core focus is on short-term goals, meticulous supervision, and maintaining efficiency within the existing framework. It's really about preserving the status quo through rules, discipline, standard operating procedures. You do X, you get Y.
Where does it work best?
It thrives best in stable, predictable environments. It motivates primarily through monetary or other extrinsic incentives, things outside the work itself.
So when would you use it?
Transactional leadership is highly effective when tasks are routine or highly structured. Think about processing bank loans according to strict criteria, or managing call center operations with clear scripts and metrics. It's ideal for achieving clear short-term goals, like hitting quarterly sales targets, or when strict deadlines and compliance are critical, for example, meeting those mandatory regulatory reporting timelines for the Reserve Bank.
Makes sense for predictable work.
Right. It's also suitable for environments with low-skilled or maybe new employees who need clear direction, or sometimes even in crisis situations requiring quick, authoritative action to restore order. However, it really falls short when innovation, visionary thinking, or deep intrinsic motivation are needed. It doesn't really inspire people to go above and beyond the basic requirements.
Okay, so that sets the stage for the alternative: transformational leadership.
Yes, and this is an entirely different beast, philosophically. This style involves inspiring and motivating employees to achieve extraordinary outcomes, not just by managing tasks, but by fundamentally transforming their beliefs, their attitudes, their values.
Wow, that sounds ambitious.
It is. It focuses on a grand, compelling vision, fostering innovation and driving profound, long-term change. This concept, it was first introduced by James McGregor Burns and then significantly expanded by Bernard M. Bass.
What are its key characteristics?
Well, being driven by a larger, inspiring vision is key, promoting innovation and creativity, empowering employees to take ownership. These leaders build deep emotional connections and trust, inspiring followers to genuinely exceed expectations and, importantly, find real meaning in their work.
So when is this style best?
This style is best employed when visionary change is needed, like overhauling a company's entire digital strategy or leading major policy reforms within an institution. It's incredibly effective when you need to deeply motivate teams, perhaps during significant economic shifts or major sectoral reforms, or when long-term planning and breakthrough innovation are required, like developing a whole new fintech ecosystem, for instance.
It sounds like it really empowers people.
It does. It fosters genuine team empowerment, boosts morale significantly, and enhances performance by appealing to those higher-order needs like purpose and self-actualization. Conversely, it's less suited for situations demanding immediate routine results, or if employees are, frankly, resistant to autonomy or not ready for it, or if there's genuinely no scope or appetite for significant change within the organization.
I immediately think of Dr. Raghuram Rajan again, the former RBI governor. His work introducing inflation targeting, pushing for banking transparency that feels very transformational.
An excellent example. He wasn't just managing existing policies. He was driving a long-term vision for stability and accountability in the entire financial system. Classic transformational leadership.
And you mentioned Maslow earlier. How does that connect?
Right. Transactional leadership typically aligns with Maslow's lower-level needs: safety, security, financial reward. It uses rewards and discipline to ensure compliance, but it often fails to motivate employees beyond that basic adherence because it doesn't tap into those higher-level needs like esteem or self-actualization.
Whereas transformation.
That's where transformational leadership truly shines. It directly addresses those deeper psychological needs, inspiring people to reach their full potential and contribute creatively. It's often summarized perfectly. Transactional leaders manage, transformational leaders inspire.
That's a great summary.
And building on this, Bernard Bass further refined transformational leadership into a more structured model. He identified 4 key components, often called the 4 I's.
The 4 I's.
Okay. First, idealized influence. This is when the leader acts as a powerful role model. They earn profound respect and trust. Followers admire them, want to emulate their integrity and commitment. Think charisma, but rooted in values.
Got it. Role model.
Second, inspirational motivation, IM. The leader inspires with a compelling vision, a clear sense of purpose, and infectious optimism. They motivate followers to commit enthusiastically to shared, often ambitious goals. They paint the picture of the future.
The vision part again.
Third, intellectual stimulation, IS. This leader encourages innovation, creativity, critical thinking. They actively challenge followers to question assumptions, explore new ideas, solve problems in novel ways. They make you think.
Okay. Push the boundaries.
And fourth, individualized consideration, IC. The leader provides personal support, coaching, mentorship. They pay close attention to each individual's unique needs for growth and development. They act as a genuine guide, caring about the person, not just the role. These 4 elements, working together, create this powerful engine for change and elevated performance.
That's a very comprehensive model.
It is. Now, moving from these broad philosophies, let's look inward a bit at what some call the leader's inner compass, their personality traits.
Back to traits, but maybe in a more nuanced way.
Exactly. This is fascinating because it directly connects fundamental psychology to real-world leadership. The Big 5 personality traits, often remembered by the acronym OCEAN, describe 5 broad dimensions of personality that significantly influence an individual's leadership style, their effectiveness, and their overall behavior.
OCEAN. Okay, what does each letter stand for in a leadership context?
Right. O is for openness to experience. This describes someone who is imaginative, creative, curious, eager to explore new ideas and innovations. In a leader, high openness often translates to being visionary, transformational, constantly encouraging innovation, readily embracing change. Think of someone like Steve Jobs, always pushing boundaries.
Okay, openness, C.
C is for conscientiousness. This trait refers to discipline, organization, dependability, being strongly goal-oriented. Highly conscientious leaders are reliable, consistent, meticulous. They excel in planning, execution, accountability. They often lean towards a more structured or even transactional style when needed. Think of a highly efficient project manager making sure every detail is covered.
Conscientiousness.
Yeah.
Dependable.
E is for extroversion. This is about sociability, assertiveness, high energy levels. Extroverted leaders are typically confident, inspiring, persuasive. They often naturally emerge as leaders in group settings due to their outgoing nature and ability to articulate their vision clearly. Richard Branson comes to mind, bold, charismatic.
Extroversion. Makes sense. A.
A is for agreeableness. This describes qualities like cooperation, trust, compassion, empathy. High agreeableness fosters strong team cohesion, facilitates effective conflict resolution, creates a supportive environment. Leaders high in this often prioritize harmony in relationships.
Is there a downside?
While leaders who are too agreeable might sometimes struggle with making tough, unpopular decisions when necessary. Leaders in HR or community development often exhibit high agreeableness.
Okay, agreeableness. And N.
N stands for neuroticism, though it's perhaps better understood as its opposite, low emotional stability. High neuroticism signifies a tendency toward anxiety, moodiness, stress, and sensitivity. Conversely, leaders who are low in neuroticism, meaning they are emotionally stable, remain calm, rational, composed, even under immense pressure or during crises. They inspire confidence because they don't panic.
Emotional stability.
Crucial. Extremely crucial. So, in summary, research suggests that effective leaders often score high in conscientiousness, extroversion, and openness, while maintaining strong emotional stability, which is low neuroticism. These personality dimensions significantly shape a leader's natural inclinations, influencing whether they gravitate towards, say, a transformational, transactional, or more participative style.
But it's not destiny, right?
Absolutely not. The real insight here is recognizing that even if you're not naturally, say, a high extrovert, understanding these dimensions allows you to strategically cultivate and apply relevant behaviors to different leadership situations. It reinforces that leaders aren't just born, they can also be shaped and developed.
Okay, let's unpack a really surprising idea now. A leader whose primary goal isn't to command, but actually to serve their team. We're talking about servant leadership. This philosophy was championed by Robert K. Greenleaf.
Yes, it's a profound shift in perspective. The leader's central purpose here is to support, empower, and uplift their team members, prioritizing their growth and well-being above almost everything else.
Serve first, lead second.
Essentially, yes. The desire to serve comes first. This powerful philosophy is built upon 10 core principles. Should we run through them quickly?
Let's do it.
Okay. 1, listening, actively understanding others' needs. 2, empathy, showing genuine care, understanding perspectives. 3, healing, fostering emotional well-being, helping people recover from setbacks. 4, awareness, high self-awareness, conscious of ethics and impact. 5, persuasion, influencing through consensus, not just authority. 6, conceptualization, thinking strategically beyond daily operations. 7, foresight, anticipating future outcomes and consequences. 8, stewardship, taking responsibility for the long-term well-being of people and the organization. 9, commitment to the growth of people, actively helping individuals develop. And 10, building community, cultivating shared purpose and belonging.
Wow, that's quite different. So the main characteristics are?
Deep empathy, selflessness, unwavering ethical behavior, a real focus on empowering others, and a strong team-centric approach where the collective good is truly paramount.
These are really inspiring concepts. You can almost see elements of this in historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi, right? Leading through selfless service.
Absolutely. Or Howard Schultz at Starbucks. He famously prioritized his employees, called them partners, offered groundbreaking benefits. Ratan Tata also comes to mind, known for his ethical leadership and focus on employee welfare across the Tata Group.
The brilliance seems to be how it flips that traditional power dynamic.
Exactly. It reveals that a leader's greatest strength often lies not in commanding, but in enabling others to exceed their own expectations. It creates this self-propelling cycle of growth and trust.
Where do you see it applied organizationally?
You see it in corporate employee-first policies, in nonprofits dedicated to serving the underserved, and particularly in sectors like banking. Think of genuine customer centricity, where the bank actively serves client needs, or internal employee development programs designed to truly uplift staff. Even the Reserve Bank of India's focus on financial inclusion for marginalized communities has strong echoes of this philosophy.
Are there downsides?
Well, it requires patience to build that deep trust. It can seem time-consuming, perhaps not ideal for high-pressure, rapid decision environments, but its long-term impact is undeniable. High employee loyalty, reduced attrition, enhanced customer satisfaction, and promoting sustainable, ethical growth. It's a people-first, ethics-driven style that really fits sectors where trust and long-term relationships are vital.
Okay, let's shift gears to a very different style. Bureaucratic leadership.
Right, a very different feel. This approach is characterized by strict adherence to rules, formal procedures, and a rigid hierarchy. Leaders operating in this style rely heavily on clearly defined official duties, established regulations, and a precise chain of command. This theory comes largely from Max Weber, who saw bureaucracy as an efficient, rational way to organize.
Rules, hierarchy, procedure. Got it. What are the core features?
Its profoundly rule-oriented leadership is exercised mainly through established policies. It's inherently hierarchy-based, with that strict chain of command. There's a strong emphasis on impersonality decisions are based on objective logic and policy, not personal feelings or relationships. It aims for meritocracy, where positions and promotions are based on qualifications and competence. And there's a high focus on accountability and documentation, lots of record-keeping and audits to ensure compliance.
So we'd see this a lot in government departments, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Or large public sector organizations, banks that have to meticulously follow incredibly precise regulatory guidelines, like from the RBI or government directives.
Exactly. Real-life examples include officials at the RBI implementing monetary policy. The bureaucratic style ensures consistency and discipline. The Election Commission of India operates under a strict bureaucratic framework for impartiality. And a public sector bank branch manager follows rigid guidelines for loans, KYC norms, reporting.
What are the pros and cons?
The advantages are clear: stability, fairness, consistency, reduced bias, ensures compliance, provides clear responsibilities. However, the limitations are also significant. It can be very inflexible in dynamic situations, actively discourages innovation and risk-taking, often leads to slow decision-making due to red tape, and can reduce employee motivation due to lack of autonomy.
So good for some things, bad for others.
Pretty much. Ideal for routine, compliance-heavy environments, but often needs blending with more adaptive or democratic styles in today's fast-changing world to get both compliance and necessary innovation.
Okay, next up, paternalistic leadership.
Paternalistic. Here, the leader adopts a kind of parent-like or guardian-like role towards their employees. They maintain authority and control, yes, but they also genuinely care about the well-being and development of their subordinates.
Like a protective parent.
In a way. And in return for this protection and guidance, the leader expects deep loyalty, respect, and trust. This style is quite common in family-run businesses, traditional organizations, and maybe cultures with a strong respect for hierarchy.
What are the key characteristics?
Fostering profound mutual trust and loyalty, being development-oriented, focusing on employee growth, providing constant guidance and support, maintaining an authoritative yet caring demeanor, and offering a strong sense of protectiveness, shielding employees, making them feel secure. Core features include high power distance, a strong focus on employee welfare alongside organizational goals, and decisions made by the leader based on what they perceive as best for the employees.
I instantly think of J.R.D. Tata again, famously dedicated to employee welfare, or Narayan Murthy at Infosys, known for nurturing that culture of care.
Many traditional family businesses operate this way too, right? Treating employees like extended family.
Excellent examples. You often find this style in manufacturing where safety is paramount, in public sector undertakings prioritizing job stability, and in smaller businesses where owners take a close personal interest.
Advantages.
Strong loyalty, low turnover, employees feel valued, supportive environment.
This can suppress employee autonomy, lead to overdependence on the leader, create resistance to change if the parent resists, and potentially blur professional boundaries. So, while effective in closely knit traditional teams, it often needs complementing with more participative styles for innovation.
Right. Now, for one that sounds problematic.
Yeah.
Narcissistic leadership.
Yes, this one carries significant baggage. This style is characterized by leaders who exhibit pronounced traits of self-importance, a strong, often insatiable need for admiration, and a notable lack of empathy for others.
So it's all about them.
Largely, yes. While they can often be charismatic, confident, and ambitious, they can also be exploitative, arrogant, or excessively focused on their own image and personal success above all else.
What are the key traits we'd see?
Often, captivating charisma and vision, a constant overt need for self-promotion and external validation, a tendency towards dominance in communication, interrupting, overriding, a noticeable lack of genuine empathy, being intensely competitive, driven to win at all costs, an extreme sensitivity to criticism, often reacting defensively or aggressively. Core features typically include strong authoritarian tendencies, a focus on short-term image over long-term health, and making risky, bold decisions often without much consultation.
This really raises that question again. Can a leader like this actually be effective? People often discuss figures like Steve Jobs in this context, brilliant, visionary, but also famously difficult. Or Elon Musk, bold innovation but controversial conduct. Certain political leaders, too.
You're right, it's a profound double-edged sword. If their ambition and confidence are balanced somehow, advantages can include high confidence in decision-making, a capacity for bold risk-taking leading to breakthroughs, being incredibly persuasive and visionary, and sometimes excelling in crisis leadership.
But the dark side.
The limitations are severe. They can foster toxic work cultures due to ego, poor collaboration because they don't listen or empathize, high employee attrition. And their focus on personal gain can seriously damage organizational integrity. So, while potentially visionary, unchecked narcissism can create a self-centered, demotivating, fragile environment. Strong governance and feedback are crucial to mitigate the risks.
Okay. Let's move to something that sounds much healthier. Collaborative leadership.
Yes, a much more positive focus. This is an approach where leaders actively involve others both inside and outside the organization in decision-making, problem-solving, goal-setting. It fundamentally emphasizes teamwork, openness, shared responsibility, and breaking down those organizational silos.
Working together is key.
Absolutely. These leaders cultivate a culture where diverse stakeholders contribute ideas and work together towards mutual success. They see problems as interconnected challenges needing collective intelligence.
What does that look like in practice?
Key characteristics include profound, open communication, transparent information flow. Active listening is paramount, genuinely valuing inputs. Strong emphasis on interdependence, seamless collaboration across departments or partners, intense focus on shared goals, not individual wins, and constant work on trust building, creating psychological safety. Core features involve low power distance. The leader is more a facilitator. It promotes cross-functional work, encourages co-creation, and is especially useful in complex environments.
This sounds incredibly relevant today. I think of Rajan's consultative policymaking again, or Jacinda Ardern's inclusive crisis leadership. Even big science projects like ISRO's missions require huge collaboration.
Excellent examples. In modern workplaces, it's used extensively in cross-functional teams, strategic planning. In banking, it means managers working seamlessly with risk, IT, compliance.
Benefits and drawbacks.
Advantages.
Yeah.
Supercharges innovation, enhances engagement, strengthens ownership, builds resilient teams. Limitations. Can lead to slower decisions, carries risk of conflict with diverse views, requires high emotional intelligence from the leader to manage effectively. It's ideal for today's interconnected, knowledge-driven world. Vital in policy, tech, banking.
Building on that, there's also shared leadership. How is that different?
It takes collaboration a step further. Shared leadership is where multiple team members collectively influence, lead, and take responsibility. It shifts from the traditional top-down hierarchy to a truly distributed model.
Yeah.
Leadership isn't vested in one person.
So leadership floats around the team.
Essentially, yes. Leadership roles might be fluid, rotated, or shared depending on expertise, the task, the context. It actively encourages autonomy, collaboration, mutual accountability, often seen in self-managed teams, agile environments.
Key characteristics.
Mutual influence, people lead each other based on strengths. Decentralized power, open dialogue for collective decisions. And skill-based leadership, whoever has the relevant expertise leads on that task.
Where is this applied?
Dynamic startups, software development using Agile Scrum, knowledge-driven organizations where expertise trumps hierarchy.
Benefits and challenges.
Benefits boosts engagement, creativity, ownership, decision agility, team cohesion. Challenges. Risk of confusion or role ambiguity, if not clear, demands exceptionally strong communication and trust, can lack direction without clear shared goals. So, best suited for dynamic, decentralized environments, requires strong trust and a collaborative mindset.
Okay, nearly there on the styles. Let's combine two important ones, authentic and ethical leadership.
Yes, these are increasingly vital and often discussed together. Authentic leadership is about being truly genuine, transparent, self-aware, guided by core values. Ethical leadership, closely intertwined, emphasizes decisions based on strong morality, fairness, responsibility. Together, they form an approach that is genuine, transparent, and profoundly driven by integrity.
What does that look like?
Key characteristics: deep self-awareness, understanding own values, emotions, strong moral integrity, doing what's right, not easy, radical transparency, open, honest communication, full accountability, accepting responsibility, and being profoundly people-centered, caring about stakeholders, building trust. Core features: leaders act as moral role models, foster trust and empathy, show consistency between values and actions.
Where's this crucial?
Public sector governance like RBI, SEBI, healthcare, education, nonprofits. In banking, authenticity fosters deep confidence, vital in compliance-driven sectors.
We mentioned Dr. Kalam and Nelson Mandela earlier. They seem like strong examples. Rajan's focus on transparency, too.
Absolutely. Advantages are clear. Builds long-term trust, credibility, encourages open communication, promotes ethical conduct, enhances reputation. Limitations: might seem slow or idealistic in cutthroat environments. Potential for emotional exhaustion if boundaries aren't managed. But crucial for value-driven governance, especially where public trust is key, ensuring transparent, equitable practices.
And briefly, affiliative leadership.
This one focuses heavily on fostering strong emotional bonds, team harmony, a people-first culture. The leader works hard to create a positive, supportive atmosphere, prioritizing emotional needs and team cohesion.
Harmony and connection.
Exactly. Key characteristics: profound empathy, active listening, being relationship-driven, acting as an expert conflict diffuser. Applications: teaching, coaching, nursing, HR, post-crisis recovery teams, places where emotional support is vital.
Examples might be Howard Schultz again, healthcare team leaders during COVID, maybe middle managers and PSUs, building strong team spirit.
Good examples. Advantages: boosts morale, team bonding, creates emotionally safe environments, reduces turnover. Limitations: may avoid constructive criticism to keep harmony, less effective in high-pressure cultures, potential for dependency. So, effective in sensitive environments, strengthens team spirit, fosters loyalty, great after crises or during big changes. Okay, let's zoom out now and look at the fascinating historical journey of leadership theory itself. It's really evolved through distinct phases, reflecting our deepening understanding. We can broadly group this into four main eras: the trait era, the behavioral era, the situational or contingency era, And then the more recent new leadership theories.
That's a good way to frame it. It feels like a journey from just observing great individuals to really trying to understand the science behind leading effectively.
Exactly.
A progression from focusing on who leaders are to what they consistently do, and then ultimately to what they do given the specific context. Sounds like increasing sophistication.
Absolutely. The earliest attempts, emerging back in the 19th century and gaining steam through the 1930s and 40s, fall under the trait approach theories.
Leaders are born, not made.
That was the core idea. These theories suggested effective leaders are either born with or can acquire specific inherent qualities that naturally predispose them to leadership. Certain individuals possess unique traits that make them successful leaders.
How did that start?
Historically, it began with the great man theory in the 19th century. Thomas Carlyle was a key proponent. He argued figures like Julius Caesar or Gandhi were born with extraordinary traits that destined them for leadership. It mostly ignored situational factors, but it sparked intense interest in identifying these leader traits.
Then it got more scientific.
A bit. By the 1930s-40s, psychologists like Gordon Allport and Ralph Stockdale started more systematic studies to identify specific traits that correlated with leadership. Stockdale famously concluded, though, that while traits were important, they weren't sufficient alone. Context mattered.
And Allport's theory.
Gordon Allport's trait theory from 1936 was foundational. He categorized traits, cardinal traits, dominant ones defining a person, like Gandhi's nonviolence, central traits, general characteristics like honesty, intelligence, and secondary traits, appearing only in certain situations like public speaking nerves. This helped understand enduring personality aspects influencing leadership.
So what were the core leader traits identified over time?
While no single universalist ever emerged, common ones include intelligence, self-confidence, determination, integrity, sociability, and emotional stability.
Qualities we'd associate with successful leaders we know, like maybe Raghuram Rajan's intelligence or Arundhati Bhattacharya's determination.
Exactly, those kinds of intuitive connections. The strengths of the trait approach are its appeal and its potential predictive use identifying high-potential individuals. It also helps guide leadership development.
But the criticisms?
Significant ones. It tends to neglect context. There's no universal trait list. It often overemphasizes inborn qualities, downplaying training. Early research suffered from cultural gender bias, and it offers a rather static view. So, valuable for identifying potential, but needs integrating with other approaches.
Okay, so moving on from who a leader is.
We get to the functional approach to leadership, which shifts focus entirely to what a leader does. It examines the key functions or roles a leader performs to help a team succeed. It looks at observable actions needed for collective success.
Who contributed here?
John Adair's action-centered leadership model is very popular. He proposed that an effective leader must constantly balance 3 overlapping core responsibilities or needs.
3 needs?
Yes. First, task needs. Achieving the goal itself, planning, organizing, evaluating, like a project manager crafting a detailed plan. Second, team needs. Building cohesion, collaboration, conflict resolution, participation, like a sales manager organizing team building. Third, individual needs. Supporting members' motivation, listening, well-being, development, like a team lead mentoring junior staff. Practical.
Very practical, action-oriented, emphasizes adaptability, service, good for structured institutions.
Then came the behavioral approach.
Right. This fundamentally shifted focus from inherent traits to observable actions and behaviors. The core idea, effective leadership can be learned and developed. This is where the leaders are made, not born idea really took hold.
What kinds of behaviors?
It often categorized leaders into 2 broad types. Task-oriented leaders, emphasizing planning, monitoring, efficiency. Think Elon Musk's focus on mission. And people-oriented leaders, prioritizing well-being, motivation, collaboration. Think Satya Nadella emphasizing empathy at Microsoft.
What are the strengths and weaknesses here?
Strengths. Shows leadership can be learned, offers observable criteria, applies broadly. Limitations. Doesn't fully account for situation context, can overlook traits, motivations, risks a one-size-fits-all approach.
Weren't there some famous studies here? Michigan and Ohio State.
Absolutely. Foundational research programs, they shifted focus from traits to observable behaviors and reached similar, though distinct, conclusions. Tell me about the University of Michigan studies.
In the 1950s, they looked at managerial effectiveness, linking behaviors to performance and well-being. They identified 2 types: employee-oriented leaders, human relations focus, like transformational, and production-oriented leaders, task-focused, hierarchical. They found employee-oriented leadership linked to better outcomes, like higher job satisfaction, lower turnover.
And the Ohio State Leadership Studies.
Started earlier in the 1940s. They used the Leader Behavior Description Questionnaire, LBDQ, to systematically categorize behaviors. They found two primary dimensions: initiating structure, task structuring, monitoring, and consideration, empathy, rapport, trust. Their key finding was that optimal effectiveness often required leaders to be high on both dimensions, balancing task and people.
How did Blake and Mouton build on this?
Blake and Mouton's Managerial Grid, 1960s, synthesized these ideas. It's a matrix based on two axes: concern for people versus concern for production.
9x9 grid.
That's the one. It identified 5 main styles: impoverished, love one, low, apathy; country club, 1 more 9, high people, low task, harmony over results; task management, 9-1, low people, high task, efficiency over humans; middle of the road, 5 bus, compromise, mediocrity risk; and the idealized team management, 9-9, high synergistic balance.
So 9x9 was seen as the best.
Generally, yes, though critics noted it lacked situational context. It presumed 9x9 was universally best. They later added other styles like paternalistic and opportunistic. The key takeaway was that effective leaders could excel at both task and people focus.
And Redden added another dimension.
Yes, William J. Redden's 3-dimensional managerial grid added effectiveness. This meant styles weren't just described, but assessed for suitability to the context, a precursor to contingency theory. It had task orientation, relationship orientation, and effectiveness. This led to 8 styles, 4 basic ones, each with an effective and ineffective variant depending on context.
What about Kurt Lewin?
Kurt Lewin's leadership styles theory, late 1930s, focused on power orientation. 3 styles: autocratic, centralized authority; democratic, participative; and laissez-faire, high autonomy. His work highlighted the consequences of each style on morale and productivity, but also simplified things and ignored context.
And Tannenbaum and Schmidt.
The Tannenbaum and Schmidt Leadership Continuum, 1958, saw leadership on a spectrum from autocratic, leader-centered, to democratic, follower-centered. Crucially, it emphasized that effective leaders adjust their position on this continuum based on the situation, team maturity, task complexity. It really highlighted situational adaptability.
So, the big picture from this historical journey. We've seen theories move from fixed traits to what leaders do, and then crucially, how context shapes those actions. It's a really complex puzzle, isn't it? And our understanding keeps evolving.
Absolutely, and that evolution continues vigorously into the contemporary world, facing a whole new set of challenges indeed. The leadership landscape in the 21st century is being profoundly reshaped. We're seeing this convergence of global forces, rapid tech disruption, globalization, significant socio-political shifts, and these really urgent ethical and environmental imperatives. Those traditional hierarchical command and control models, they're rapidly evolving, making way for frameworks that prioritize adaptability, participation, ethical alignment.
That really begs the question then. How on earth do leaders keep up? How do they navigate a world that's constantly changing, throwing new curveballs, presenting completely unprecedented challenges?
It's a huge challenge, no doubt, and it demands new, multifaceted competencies from leaders. Let's look at some key contemporary challenges and the distinct leadership demands they impose. First up, digital leadership. The core challenge: ensuring coherence, productivity, connection across teams that are digital, often asynchronous, geographically scattered.
The remote work reality.
Exactly. Competencies needed include proficiency with digital ecosystems, building trust in virtual settings, mastering asynchronous communication, and strategically integrating tech with human skills. Think of a global project, lead orchestrating teams across continents via cloud platforms, keeping morale and productivity high remotely.
Okay, what's next?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. The challenge isn't just managing diverse teams, but actively leading them in a way that confronts and addresses historical, structural inequities.
Going beyond just tolerance.
Much beyond. Core competencies include intersectional competence, understanding how different identities intersect, strong advocacy for equity within systems, and the courage to design truly inclusive governance, a powerful example. A CEO pushing a complete redesign of recruitment to dismantle systemic bias and ensure equity at all leadership levels.
Vital. Then there's ethics.
Yes, ethical and values-based leadership. The challenge is balancing fiduciary duties with broader moral and societal obligations to all stakeholders. This demands unwavering moral clarity, radical operational transparency, stakeholder-responsive decisions, and deep ethical alignment, even when it's tough financially. Think of an executive rejecting a profit-maximizing strategy because it clearly conflicts with sustainability principles.
Tough calls. What about emotions?
Hugely important. Emotional intelligence, EI. The challenge is navigating those complex emotional undercurrents in organizations, fostering psychological safety, resolving conflicts, key competencies, emotional acuity, perceiving emotions, empathic responsiveness, effective regulation, managing own emotions, creating psychologically safe spaces where people feel safe to speak up, take risks. A team leader resolving conflict by validating emotions first, then fostering understanding embodies this.
And adapting to constant change.
Adaptive and agile leadership. The challenge is driving resilience and innovation amidst VUCA volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Requires exceptional strategic sense-making, making sense of chaos, agile decision-making, iterative learning, experimenting, adjusting. Think of pivoting a business model in real time during COVID.
ESG is huge now, too.
Sustainability and ESG-driven leadership. Environmental, social governance. The challenge is making these core to the strategy, not just a PR exercise. Competencies. Systems thinking, long-term sustainability planning, stakeholder-oriented governance considering impact on communities, planet. Example, implementing net zero carbon policies alongside robust human rights protections.
Managing different generations.
Intergenerational leadership, increasingly vital. The challenge, managing diverse values, communication styles, work expectations across generations, boomers to Gen Z, requires generational fluency, dialogic leadership, fostering conversation across generations, motivational adaptability, understanding what drives each group. Example, integrating Gen Z's desire for flexible, meaningful work with Gen X's structured approach.
And finally, technology's impact, AI.
Technological disruption and AI-centric leadership, the challenge. Guiding ethical AI automation integration, mitigating potential job displacement and digital inequity. Competencies. Ethical tech governance, digital fluency, facilitating human-machine collaboration. Example, spearheading AI adoption while heavily investing in upskilling employees and safeguarding equity.
Wow, that's a lot for modern leaders to juggle.
It is. In essence, modern leadership demands this multifaceted synthesis. Adaptive intelligence, ethical grounding, strategic foresight. Leaders today must be catalysts for resilience, practice humility facing uncertainty, and drive socially responsible transformation. It's about leading not just effectively, but conscientiously and inclusively in our interconnected, rapidly evolving world.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It really underscores that leadership isn't some static role you achieve. It's this dynamic journey of continuous learning, adaptation, and self-awareness. The qualities, the approaches we've discussed today, they aren't just for CEOs or presidents. They're relevant for anyone looking to make a positive impact, whether it's in your professional life, your community, or even just your personal relationships. Hashtag tag outro. So we've taken quite a deep dive today into the fascinating, complex world of leadership. We've gone from its fundamental definitions and essential characteristics all the way through to nuanced styles and the evolving theories that explain its profound impact.
That's right. We've explored that crucial difference between leadership and management, understood how various styles need to adapt to different contexts and teams, and really highlighted the critical importance of ethical, emotionally intelligent, and adaptable leadership in today's incredibly complex and rapidly changing world. It's been a journey, really, from understanding traits to recognizing behaviors, and finally, appreciating those situational complexities that demand truly adaptive leadership.
Given everything we discussed today, maybe take a moment later to think about a leader you genuinely admire. Could be someone from history, current events, or even someone in your own life. Can you now perhaps identify some of the specific theories or styles that seem to define their effectiveness? And maybe more personally, how might you apply some of these insights in your own life or career, even in small, everyday ways? We really encourage you to start observing leadership around you with these new eyes, armed with the knowledge and perspectives gained from this deep dive.